All right, hello everybody. My name's Dave Thompson. Today, my absolute pleasure to be here with the man Dane Thomas.
Hey people.
And Dane is a human who has written 2 books. These ones, these are his. And I guess today we're going to have a chat about how you did it, and really give some value to the people who are out there maybe thinking that they want to write a book, because you've done 2 now. You've got your third coming.
Yeah.
You're kind of the man in this space. You've had a couple of epic launches, or one in particular that was just massive.
Yeah.
So, let's just dive straight into it, and I'll ask you questions, and
I'll answer them.
Hey. Cool. All right, let's do it. So, first of all, for the people that maybe don't know Dane Thomas, and I don't know how they wouldn't know you, but who is Dane Thomas and what do you do?
Who is Dane Thomas? Been a big question, that one. Ever-evolving answer to that question. The most recent blurb that I've been writing says that I'm a personal development innovator and writer, which is only true because of these books. And the personal development innovator part really meaning that what I tend to do is take existing processes or transformational tools and upgrade them and remix them and make them faster, better, quicker, stronger. The Spiral is probably the best known one of those. There's a masculinity project called the Integrated Man that's gradually building, and then Clearing itself is sort of my repackaging of kinesiology and some other self-change tools. So that's kind of what I think that I'm probably known for.
Yeah, cool. And your insatiable delight over chocolate.
That as well. Yeah.
Awesome, man. So, look, guys, I guess part of the reason we're doing this is Dane's been able to overcome one of the hurdles or rites of passage that many coaches and experts go through in being able to take their business through through that ceiling to the next level. And we're focusing on how he did that through the books today. Because, I run the Book Writers program. We've become really great friends through it. And just want to share the gold with people. So before you wrote your books, before they came out, where were you at in your business, and what were things like?
Yeah, so I'll give you a picture. I think I was about 2015 we did the books, right? The first one?
You did the Conscious Hustle, Feb 2015.
So that means I was about 3 years into business. I had managed to do quite well and sort of crack the coaching business limits, so I got in the business to a good middle 6 figures kind of level, created some cool stuff, built a following, but I was having some challenges around I don't really want to be a coach, and I wasn't a typical coach, but I was still finding myself as I'm the guy who's delivering the work. I'm pricing my one-on-one higher and higher, and doing group stuff as well, and following the models that I found in the industry, but I was kind of hitting a threshold, and my big challenge was I want to be creative. I'd come from a musical background. I'd always wanted to write, and I think because it was so meaningful to me, I was probably quite cynical about the idea of, you just write a book about some subject and it goes on Amazon, and I was like, but I'm a real writer, so I don't want to do that thing that I'd heard about in the space of you publish your book and you position yourself as this thing. And in a way, I think my artist side, because I was very precious about the creative side, almost kept me away from bringing my creativity into my business, because I didn't want to sort of prostitute my artist.
I think a lot of people get that. It's they get into coaching because they think there's so many creative, because it kind of is. You can pick your ride, but then it's there's some business realities of numbers and stuff, and where does the creativity go? Yeah,
and I'd found a way to make it all work that was me, pumping social media, doing talks, running big rooms, and then taking people through the Spiral and so on. And that we'd hit a sort of threshold with that. I got a little burned out and slowed things down and really started working on my health and so on. And I was kind of a bit looking from, I dropped out of the sort of hardcore sales and marketing sort of energy that I'd been in. And I was like, well, how am I going to grow this now?
Take it
up. I don't know how to do this yet. And what I'm feeling is there's more. I want to put more of my essence into the business, but I don't know how. And I'd flagged, I'd had a big breakthrough on holiday where I was like, if I hadn't gone down the path that I've gone down, I probably would have been a writer. So I was kind of sitting in that space of like, oh, I feel like a bit frustrated, and like, yeah, I've gotten good at business, but it's a bit boring. And how can I bring in more of my essence, and how can I position myself as a legitimate authority on some of these things that I've spent 20 years learning about? And that's kind of how I found my way to the idea. And I still had a bit of resistance early on. I was like, yeah, you can't write a book in a fucking week.
How many people have that? When I speak to them all the time, it's like, oh, am I really going to do this?
Yeah. And
Is it really possible too? That's what people think?
That was huge for me. It was huge for me. And, you know, before I was in the personal development space, I was a creative and I put out music, and I had a real finishing issue. You know, I got a bit better at that with business, but as a creator who's invested and cares if it looks good, is it worded well, does it convey my essence? I'd started a lot of things and gone, oh, I don't really want to put that out, and I'd struggled to get across the finish line with things. So that was, whilst weighing my cynicism of like, really, this guy reckons you can do a book in a week and he's going to put it all out for me. But the more I turned it over, I was like, well, that might just be the thing to break this pattern of half baking these creative things that could be great and then getting tired out on the details.
Yeah.
And in the end, I was like, well, why don't I just do it and see what happens?
Totally.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing that, because I see that all the time. There's that, like, a lot of the coaches that are really killing it or have the potential to really kill it, they do have that kind of star creator type vibe to them, and they're really good getting out in front. They've often got a big voice and a lot of creativity that comes through, but when it comes to like finishing the thing and making it, you know, like this is real. You know? Like it's like you can hear it. We're not making that up. That's where I found. I guess that's just what I found.
Well, that was the deal sealer for me was, oh, you're going to get it edited and you're going to do all the little nitty gritty bits that I don't even really know what they are. I even get tired in the idea of finding out what those things are.
Did you know there's actually 96 tiny items that need to be done to produce one book?
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. And I'm like, I like to do the one bit, which is
16 subheadings, 96 tasks, over 6 weeks.
It's I could feel that, and it was like, that's the stuff I'd written books before that were 90% written, and then be like, what am I going to put in a PDF and just give it to people? Like, because the rest of it was too energetically tiring, or it wasn't in flow for me, and doing that while you're also running a business and you're doing your 30k a month or your 50k a month or whatever, and you're trying to attend to all these things.
You don't have to learn how to format in .mobi for Kindle and worry about footnotes.
Barcodes, where do they come from? How do they?
What the hell is a barcode?
Come on there, you know? Yeah.
Cool. So, all right, that's awesome. I think that really explains like where things were at, and I'm sure some people can relate to some of those frustrations. So let's move in now to like, because you've come on retreat twice with us and about to come on for a third time. So I guess what were the big pieces that you got, like in terms of frameworks or bigger, or like the ideas that we were like, hey, this is how you do it. What really resonated?
I think, the big one was that kind of 4-hour work week, Parkinson's law, kind of like just that transmission of, well, you did it. You wrote a book in a week, and then watching the first couple of waves of people some of whom I knew, and was like, oh, well, that person can write a book in a week. I can probably do it. And so that the first frame was like, oh, A, it's possible. B, I think just getting the structure down was helpful for me. Like, I think I could have figured that part out by myself pretty easily, but having someone go, okay, cool, tell me the basic concept.
Yeah, this is the big idea. These are the pieces.
Yeah,
these are the sub pieces.
Doing that little interview, that wasn't impossible for me, but it made it quick and easy. So it was like, boom, 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 boom. Okay, I've just fleshed out. I've had it unpack for me.
Almost like a confirmation.
Yeah,
I find that with a lot of our guys that come through, especially like the top players, they've already got it. But then when they share it, it's just me going, yeah, actually, you've already got it.
Yeah.
Or you've already got it, and just add that in, and you're sweet.
Yeah, you as the participant go, oh, I do know this subject, I do know this message, I know exactly what I'm trying to say. It's very empowering to be like, well, I know my subject.
Yeah.
I think that's the big picture for me. I was like, oh, I've got something to say about this that is unique, and I can see how that will break down. So now it's just showing up.
Awesome. And the showing up, I guess, for just to explain to people, is we go away for a week and we get the job done. That's in essence, you get great food, and fun people to hang around with.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, and also for me, being able to be who I was, which is probably, on the first one, probably this like slightly grumpy, very serious. It's like, and what do you need? And I was like, I need to be left alone if I'm writing. And everyone's like, cool, that's cool.
Yeah.
And I was like,
give Mr. Thomas his space.
Totally. And it wasn't like, oh no, you'll have to participate in these 3 activities.
Yeah.
It was like, well, that's what we're here for, so good.
Yeah.
And I was like, so it's okay for me to be however I am, because I'm a self-starter. I'm not going to be like, oh, I need help. It's like what I would like. And then, the next level is like people bringing me smoothies, and I'm just there writing with my headphones on. It's like, whoa, a smoothie that is exactly how I want it while I'm writing. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to have a 15-minute swim and then keep going. And then someone else who's got a different process being looked after in their way.
Yeah.
So it's like, this person needs to consult or some help or some whatever it is, and being like, so just the container being very flexible to whoever you are. I mean, assuming you've come with a reason. That's empowering.
Yeah, totally. And I think that's a key piece for anyone. Look, whether people watching this come on retreat or not, I'm really like, either way, it doesn't really bother. Well, I would love you to come if you feel, of course, you want to come. But if you're doing it at home, I think that's an important piece, is the container.
Yeah.
Because you can't do it at 10 p.m. in a city unit, stuffy attic with the trams rocking outside when you've got 1 hour after a long day. Like you might get like 5 minutes of clean time.
That's when it takes you a year if you're really disciplined. And I think that was the difference for me, was like, so I want to get an idea out that's going to strengthen what I'm doing in the world. And I've tried that a few times by myself, got to an okay document level and then let it fizzle. So what could I do if I had, a week with full support? And I mean, the reason I've come back again, and I'm going to come back again, is like I now believe in that I could quite confidently write a book by myself, but it's just easier for me to do it in that container, have the tail end looked after, and what it adds to my business is more than worth the price, the time, the energy. It's just the equation works for me, and for anyone who will be in a similar spot in where their business is, it's really easy to do it this way, particularly for these kind of books.
Totally. No, that's really interesting, and I love that you share about the container, because for me that's a huge piece. And Parkinson's law, that's a big bit of it, is the task will fit the time allocated for it.
So, look, I'd like to put a book out in the next couple of years. It's like, well, that will be how long it takes you.
But actually, if I find if they give a yearly time frame, it actually never happens.
Well, if you're a creator, you tend to change your mind about, I'm like, I'm not doing the sales book now I'm doing a spiritual book,
Yeah, or now I'm doing a spiritual sales book.
Yeah, whereas with this process, that's the other part of the creator profile has really helped me figure out that I need to move fast, because I get inspired, and it's like,
it's coming.
While the inspiration is open, which I can probably keep it open for 6 months to a year, but that's it. If something isn't executed on quickly, it gets stale, and then I'm like, I don't want to be that person now, I want to be this person. So this ability to lock something in,
guarantee that it will be done, guarantee that it will be a thing.
I know in January people are going to have this book in their hands. So it's like, cool. And then I'm already starting to think, okay, in February, do I want to write that poetry book, or is there another personal development thing? And it's, the fast nature supports the creative identity, and particularly the entrepreneurial creative mindset, where it's like, new ideas. I've got new ideas. Let's go.
Because they want it,
Yeah.
And the time frame that we work on, like the 6-week publishing phase, that's just ideal for a pre-launch.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, cool, man. Cool. Let's maybe talk about some of the results that you've got. If you just want to show people these books again, and excuse me for just touching this computer and seeing like I'm getting up in your business. I've just been fixing up the camera here. So yeah, show us the books.
So The Conscious Hustle was the first one, and it wasn't a strategic decision for me. it was something that I just needed to get something out. I think it was like the pop the cherry kind of thing. We can say that, right?
Yeah, of course, man. Of course.
You know, I just needed to initiate myself and cross a line in my head that said, oh, I'm a writer now.
Yeah.
So that's what that book was for. So I did it fast. You know, you can see I didn't really care about design. I just wanted a mysterious, oh, do you want this? I'm like, no.
It's very mysterious.
I want it black with white writing, you know, and in the space that I was in, I had been really grappling with how do you build a business that is conscious, how do you align all this esoteric and behavioral knowledge with your capitalist operation in the world while being ethical, while serving people, while enjoying it. And this book just was a way to package that down and get it out there. And you know, so it wasn't some marketing coup for me. Like, it didn't blow everything up because it was just, I just had to write something and there was no real plan to it. And it wasn't even, the book isn't even about what I was mostly delivering in the world at that time. It's just one of the things that I was into. But it did open a few doors, got me on quite a few podcasts and that sort of thing. And, you know, I had a lot of business clients that I was able to send that to, and it strangely kind of got me out of the business space. I was really in business coaching and I kind of wrote this and then I sort of transitioned. But it then kind of initiated me into a new level of, well, I can create stuff. So I can use my business in a much more creative way, and I can bring a lot more of my personality into this operation.
Instead of just having to go,
yeah, you make a thing, you sell the thing, you deliver the thing, you rinse and repeat, and you're going to be doing that forever. Like, for a creative person, that's like a prison sentence.
yeah, boring as
You know,
hell.
it's just like, oh, I'm now a prisoner to what I've made. So this popped out, and I was like, oh, so they're going to be reading that book. I can go in and out of different interests. I'm going to get into, you know, I went into like Tantra and sexuality for a year, physical embodiment for a year, back into the spiral and clearing. And all the while, if anyone is interested in my business ideas, they can still read this book and download it in the last 2 years. And in 10 years, as long as the internet is still there, it'll still be there. So it leveraged a piece of me, and it also allowed me to process and heal something, which is not why consciously I was doing the book writing journey, but it just tidied up inside myself. What's my philosophy? What's my purpose? What is my... in this book, I go through spiral dynamics levels, and level 4 is kind of about your morals. And I remember being like, Dave, I don't think I have a moral code. I'm just kind of like this free-floating dude, and anything could be true. And I was like, oh, I'm going to need to attend to that. And, you know, as a result of this book, I tidied up a lot of my affairs. I fixed up some relationship stuff with my father. I changed my name.
Yeah, that's a funny story.
Which was like, you know, the book, we're 4 or 5 weeks out, so we're getting very close to the final deadline of everything on the book has to be a certain way.
Yeah.
And I'm ringing up Dave going, hey, bro, so...
What's the deadline on the cover?
Yeah.
And I'm like, why? He's like, can I change my name on the cover? I'm like, we can make that happen.
Yeah, and this was while I was privately trying out. I think I'm going to be called Dane Thomas, but it's a big commitment to make right now, but I'm just going to keep it to myself for 2 weeks, and you know, when I go order a coffee, I'll tell them my name's Dane and I'll see how it feels, and my partner's calling me that privately, but I haven't said it to the world yet. But basically, as you know, many things going on, but partly as a result of writing this book, it allowed me to step into a new self-concept.
I find that so often with our guys is they don't, you know, they come to write a book for the business benefits, and they get those, they get the authority, they get everything that they want, but it's the personal breakthrough and new direction and new opportunity. It's almost like, I think Daniel Priestley from KPI said it really well. He said that he would write a book merely to clarify his thoughts on a topic in order to free his mind to move on to the next venture.
Exactly what happened with this. This is some stuff that I've been working on mentally for about 10 years, you know, entrepreneur versus spiritual guy, I guess, and being like, oh, I'm this side, I'm that side. And this book for me was about, okay, these paths do intertwine for me. What does that look like? And how can I help another person traversed that, and people have told me, the final chapter of this book is the spiritual business
Oh,
plan.
it's great.
And
I use it all the time.
Yeah.
We've actually brought that into the book mapping process.
Yeah. So spiritual
it's
business
the bomb.
plan, using the chakra system to map out your business. So from your highest level purpose down to the most gritty little action. And it came out from, I already had it loosely, but it came clear that's the last chapter of this book. Every business coaching client I had, I was like, dude, you need to read the last chapter of this book. And it's just it just gave me a cohesive, that's my contribution to the business world at this stage.
That's awesome. And I do find that. So sometimes, people will sometimes say, how complete do I need to be around my idea in order to write a book? And I'm like, look, if you're at least 80% clear, I'm like, we can work with that, because one, in the book mapping process, we will nail down any remaining pieces. And two, when you actually come on retreat, there is because the way we set up the space, there is space to clarify your thinking and add any final pieces that drop in while you're in a really open, creative space.
Yeah, I use the 70% rule. It's a Norman Schwarzkopf rule. So it's
Right.
in a
I've
combat.
never heard of that guy.
Oh, he would lead like Desert Storm.
Oh, right.
So he was like the general or the whatever, yeah. But his decision making rule is I think it's 60 to 70%. It's like you cannot you can own the best time to act is when you have 60 to 70% of the information.
Yes.
If you wait till you've got more than 70%, the situation will have changed, particularly in like a hostile, chaotic environment.
Which business can be, especially as a coach.
Yeah. So it's like and a constantly changing environment. So it's like if you're 70% clear, act now.
Yeah.
Don't wait till you're 90%, because by then it's already stale. The positions have changed. You've overthought it.
I'm gonna now adopt that.
Yeah.
I think I had 80% because I was going for a bit more certainty.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go, look, if you got 70, that'll do.
Yeah,
That'll
pretty
do.
good.
We can work with that. It'll come together. Cool, man. Should we talk about clear your shit now?
Yeah.
This was the real.
So you can kind of see, even from the design level, there was a much clearer intention. It's like I knew. Can I put that there?
Yeah,
Is
you
that
can.
right?
A Bible for accelerated evolution.
That's very tentative on that microphone. So I just want to.
I will catch it.
So you know. This one. So the first one was about business and consciousness, which I've been fascinated by, but I'm probably not really an expert in. I'm kind of like, I've developed down that path and I'm still growing. And it was almost like once that was out of the chamber and I kind of was consolidating, who am I, what do I offer the world? And I look at the spiral, which is the big offering, and then the clearing system itself, which you can learn for free at clearyourshit.com. There was this kind of thing of like, oh, why haven't I written a book about clearing yet? And I'm saying that, and there's like 1,000 people on my Facebook going, yeah, we would read that book.
Yeah,
That's we want to know. Can you please?
It's kind of the big indicator, isn't it?
Yeah.
When they're going, give me something you don't have. It's
people
like,
weren't waiting for me to write The Conscious Hustle, but this book was like, a lot of people have engaged with those tools at some level, some casually, some made a major part of their life. And so a book that lays out the basic ideas around clearing, which this really does, it was kind of so obvious, but I don't think I could have written it without getting the first one out of the chamber, because I had been so in a business journey that I needed to drop that creative, it's almost like deliver the child, but then the pipe is clean. It's like, okay, what else would I write?
Yeah.
So understanding the process, understanding what impact it had, even on this smaller level, I came to this one way more organized. I came with like diagrams pre-designed for the book. This is a subject that I've been studying for probably now 16 years, probably 15 at the time of writing. So it was like these ideas are well thought through. They've been explained in seminars and workshops. I'd trained my first people already. So I'd already downloaded this stuff verbally many, many times. And
that had probably taken you a lot of time and effort
clarifying
to
what
do
things are
that
called.
repeatedly.
Yeah, clarifying why
What's a
do you do this.
manifestation clear?
Yeah,
How do you do this?
Yeah,
How do you do
yeah. So it was really the solidifying of a body of work. And I mean, you saw me. I came to the retreat for this one, and I just sat down at 9 a.m. and I wrote till 5 p.m. and I didn't really stop much, and it was just like, and
He was working hard.
it was so.
Well, the pipe was open.
Yeah, the pipe was
and
open.
It was just coming.
It was just
It
commitment,
was just coming.
and I had just, and I hadn't wanted to write this book because it's like, well, now once I ink it, it's like, That's the
Real?
rules.
Oh,
yeah,
that's-
yeah. Well,
that's the-
you know. Then I've
That's the Bible.
because I'd sort of teach something 1 month, and then 3 months later I'd be running a seminar and I'd teach slightly differently, and someone would go, "But you said this." I'm like, "Well."
So committing to your message.
Yeah.
That's what I get about
yeah,
this.
yeah. So this was like, okay, well, the whole point is you can clear your shit. You don't have to be stuck in your patterns. So going for a really provocative, little bit in your face title that not everyone is okay with, but a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's so straight up."
But that's cool too,
Yeah.
because and that's what we encourage is like you want, you know, the marketplace can be so ho hum with everyone saying the same thing. You want a message that people can opt in or opt out of.
Yeah.
And if they're getting upset by the word shit,
They're probably not ready for the.
they're not going to be ready for all the
for
other
the-
magic
for
juju.
The
that
full Dane Thomas experience is
Yeah,
going to be
yeah.
a bit much.
maybe just shelve it and come back and
totally.
another-
Oh, you don't like that word? Oh, you're going to have a bad time.
And but what I've noticed about the way that you do that is because, you know, the commitment to the message with this book and you put it out there, like the people that opt in for your tribe, fuck, they opt in hard. Like they want it.
Yeah, it's like
You know?
I've been doing personal development and healing for 20 years and I've yet to find anything that suits me as much as this. This is the piece that I've been looking for. Thank you so much. I'm like, oh, this is working. And
And the people that don't want it just,
it's like, that's a bit,
Don't want
they
it.
just kind of drift off somewhere else. And it's really, really clear.
and that's how it's meant to be.
Yeah, yeah. So, you know, the hindsight of having done one already really helped with that because I got to sit back and go, well, what's a more strategic offering that will really strengthen what I've got in the world? What does everyone need from me? What's the, you know, if I was to die and I could get one little book out there, it's like, well, you need to lay out the whole clearing piece.
Transmission of message.
All the things, you know, it's like if someone gets this, they've got a ground level understanding of my philosophy of life, basically.
Yeah.
You know, of how to evolve quickly.
It's a real legacy piece, right? That's a big thing that I'm really passionate about is like if you've got, so I'm passionate about the truth, right? About the truth, getting the truth out into the world. If you've got something that is true, like don't hold on to it. For fuck's sake, give it to the people, especially if they're asking for it.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about this.
And I mean, what's been interesting with this is I had a preconception that because I wrote the first book and that helped me consolidate and finish off a chapter in my life, I was like, I really want to move past this whole clearing thing. You know, I think I'm done. You know, if I write this book, then it's all in the book. Everyone can leave me alone and I'll go and do something different.
Yeah. Typical creator.
Yeah,
attitude, right?
yeah. Just free me up, you know. And it was a labor. Like there's some stuff in this book that is technical, and I don't like the tech. So I'm sitting there defining 154 emotions for the glossary part, and I'm like, oof.
But you condense that into like an afternoon.
Yeah.
And just
got
it done.
Yeah, and so having that in one place has just been so valuable. You know, I have a tribe of practitioners, and we were talking about before.
Yes, this is so. I love this.
You know, I train people in these tools. And there's kind of a layman's level, which is you do the free video trainings and you can read the book and you can use the tools on yourself. And there's a much deeper level, which is I want to take people through the spiral. I want to use this as a practitioner. I want to bring it into my coaching practice or my healing business. And, you know, we just did we did the first training after this book had come out.
So maybe talk people through that. Like maybe let's just put our business hats on for a second
Sure.
and just talk about, you know, how the launch went, the buzz it created, what happened after the launch, and then leading into the prac training.
Right. So I came into this book writers retreat knowing that I wanted to launch this book properly.
Yeah.
The first one, you guys had exposed me to some good launch strategy information, and I was like, oh, I can't really take all that on. I just got to write this damn book. That's my goal.
The
That's
limit
enough.
of the chunks.
That's
at
it.
the time.
Too much chunks. Whereas this was like, well, I know I'll go there and write. You know, the first one was like, will I finish the book? I don't know if I can do it. This one was like, there's no question
will
about
finish
that.
it.
This will be finished. I would like to finish ahead of time so I can neat things up a little bit. And from there, I will come out and I will orchestrate a launch properly. So when you guys did the kind of marketing launch strategy day, I was there being very attentive and getting the dot points down. I'm like, okay, what happens if I just not try to remix and do my own version? What if I just follow this step by step exactly? That's what I'm going to do. So I did the launch strategy pretty much to the letter. You know,
you execute pretty much one of the best, if not the best book writer I've seen execute that strategy. It was on point.
And it was just because I know enough to know if you follow a model that is tested and you've got the pieces. Like obviously I had a really healthy tribe. It's been built up over probably 4 to 5 years.
Who'd been asking you for
They've been
this.
asking for the book, and I've been talking about the book is coming. Oh, here's a piece, here's a little segment, here's a little secret bit that's going to be in there. So when we did the launch, just purely through Facebook, we smashed it. And we got 1,000 sales in 48 hours.
Yeah. Nuts.
Topped Australian Amazon, topped the category first, really easily, topped the whole, and then eventually topped the whole of Australian Amazon. And we were on the phone late at night watching it push. Will it beat number one? Who was some chick who's
It's a New York Times best-selling fiction book.
Yeah.
Like they're like fiction.
This is a different category,
It's
you know?
like there's ballistic.
And I was like, surely she can't have sold like 1,000 in a day, you know? Like, come on, how's... And eventually we pushed her out and it got the top spot. And
That's out of 5 million titles, just so you know.
Yeah.
1 out of 5 million, so he beat everything erotic, mystery-based.
Yeah.
All of that.
Yeah.
All done.
And it was... And that was great for me because I'd had the cynicism of people trying to clock Amazon and like, oh, you sold 30 copies and you're a bestseller. And I was always a bit like, that's not really a bestseller, you know? But to be able to like, okay, 1,000 people bought that into, you know, and I could feel it. I'd be like, there's 1,000 people reading my book right now. And the engagement that came from that, like I had been running practitioner trainings and typically would roll them out maybe a month before, 2 months before, start talking about them, and they would fill up sometimes to the day. The practitioner training after this, which is, you know, is my high ticket item, I filled it out 6 months in advance.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
it was like boom, 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 boom.
That's so
1,000 people reading the book, people doing Spiral, and then like, when's the practitioner training? I want to do practitioner training. No. And to be able to do that, you know, I just delivered that training a month ago, but this book came out in January. So to have had a 6-month lead time, you know, I billed probably an extra $100,000 of business in the month to 2 months after the book came out that I wouldn't have done, like not my normal business, like that's on top.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it was, you know, that wasn't an accident. It wasn't just because I wrote a book. We wrote the right book at the right time with a knowledge of how to capitalize on that. And it was both of our kind of strategy and really capitalizing on what I built, which is a healthy tribe, but also on just following the steps that we laid out.
Totally. I think that's an important... I'll just make mention here because, you know, in terms of book sales, you're probably only going to make enough for maybe a nice holiday somewhere, you know, but where the real dollars are with a book is on the... After you've launched and you've created all the buzz around your stuff, it's the thing that comes after.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that thing, then I would highly suggest you make it, you create it.
Yeah.
But Dane already had it and he just lined it up perfectly. And so people read the book and through the door.
And, you know, pre-line up a video program of the same name and with a web address that was in the book and on the book and all through the book. So in addition...
There was a pathway.
There was a clear pathway, which I hadn't really built before. And it just gave me a taste of like, oh, when you have a piece of content that is valuable and, you know, this is not just some little ebook thing that tells you 3 dot points. It's got everything I could get in there clearly as possible.
So it's not just a marketing piece because you can, if you want to, write a book that is a marketing piece.
Yeah.
But there's legit content in here, as well as leading people on a path forward.
Yeah, and I wanted to tick both boxes. I didn't want to be like, it's some little white paper thing that you're going to throw away once you've read it. It's like, this is, you know, I have guys that are reading, this is their handbook, and they'll take an Instagram of this and the chart that goes with it, and they're sitting at Machu Picchu doing their morning clearing before they do their qigong or their yoga, and I get hundreds of those, and I'm like, it's so cool.
Yeah.
This is the Bible for this, you know?
Well, what does it say? A Bible for accelerated evolution?
Yeah, and people are like, oh, it's funny that you would use that word Bible, but it's like the guys who are doing this work and are using it.
They're opting in so hard
it's
that
their
it
Bible.
actually is their Bible.
And it's the frameworks in here teaching them how to integrate all these other pieces, so this book is doing its job.
Awesome. Maybe we'll just touch on one final piece that I thought was really cool. So I came to crew your prac week, and one thing that I was blown away by was on the first day when everyone's meeting each other and you're kind of asking people about what do they know about clearing already. You're like, you know, do you know how to do this? Yes. Have you read the book? Yes. Do you know how to do that? Yes. Do you know how to do that? Yes. yes, there was about 15 things that you checked in, and they all knew it.
Yeah.
Just talk about how valuable or how that was.
Yeah.
To have a group like that.
This is the 4th iteration of my practitioner training, and the first trainings, I was teaching the things that are in this book often for the first time. So it's like, this is a root clear, and it's on a whiteboard, and it was a bit like school, and I don't really like
You
teaching.
had to teach.
I had to teach, and I don't really like teaching in that way. But if people don't know the thing, you have to get it across, right?
Yeah.
So
This helped it get across.
yeah, so by the time this is out, this last wave of the first guys who've come out post the book and video program, and most of them had thoroughly been through both from the book of things. So the value to me of having a group of people who are coming into my higher levels of the system that are already across 80% of the theory.
They're worded up.
They know
They're
all the
worded
things.
up.
They know the language. They know the models. The maps and the models are already exposed. They might not have to be an expert in spiral dynamics, but they know it's a thing. They know it has levels. And I can then color in the lower resolution subtle
You just
stuff.
pulled the magic juju
Yeah,
out big
yeah,
time that week.
yeah.
It was remarkable.
So I can play in this advanced space because everyone's already read the book. And if there's something they don't know that's in the book, I can go, look, I'm not going to get into this too much. Read page 47.
Yeah,
It'll color you in,
yeah.
and then let's check in with that tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it's just so efficient, and it also means
More fun for you,
way
right?
more fun. I can transmit and then these guys have gone into the world really powerful. Like they're all out there kicking ass right now, and that's because we spent 8 hours a day doing magical stuff, not going, well, what is the definition of a blah blah? It's like boring.
It's already there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Cool. Well, look, let's move on to the final little piece of what I want to share with people here. Maybe if you just share with us a couple of your key lessons and learnings from having written 2 books,
Yeah.
launched them, used them in your business, brought in the creativity. What would, for people who want to write their book at home, what are the key lessons and learnings that you'd like to transmit to them?
All right. Well, assuming the intention is a business related intention, and it's not just a work of art type of thing. I think, what I got by the second one, and I'm doing for the third one, is that the book should be lined up to some offering or some core message that's in your business. I have a few sub projects, and really the idea is I'll do a book for each and every one of them. So the Integrated Man is going to come out next. That's a men's program that I've been running since 2014. I have a group of the same name. Then what I'm really trying to do on a high chunk level, on a sort of marketing level, is associate the Integrated Man to Dane Thomas. So you look it up, you go on a website, even if you haven't even going to read the book, you've heard that I wrote the book.
Yes.
So if some guy tries to come out with a program called The Integrated Man, it's too late. There's 1,000 copies of this thing out in the world. People are talking about it. They're in a group of the same name. They bought a program with the same name. We've anchored a piece of real estate out there in the.
So you're claiming. So I guess what I'm hearing there is that one of the lessons is that by writing a book, you can claim a message or a space in the market as yours and anchor that deeply, so that whenever people think of that space, they think of you, or whenever they think of you, they think of your idea.
That's the high level strategy for me. Is I'm fascinated by this idea. I want to roll out these kind of projects, and I want to solidify. It's like if I'm the central brand, I want to solidify all the spokes that come off my wheel. And on a purely business level, the books are great for doing that. And it's, if 1,000 people read the book, how many people have heard the title of the book?
Yeah.
More than 1,000.
Or saw the launch and were thinking, oh, I might get that. And then they forgot.
Or there wasn't something they were looking for, a solution to a problem they were looking for, but they still got, oh, Dane wrote the clear shit book.
Yeah.
He must be the clear shit guy.
And I think there must have been so many people on the periphery that were seeing that buzz of that launch, because it was going nuts.
Yeah. And I got a lot of credibility from that, I feel, where people who maybe weren't in my community but were peripheral to it are like, oh, that guy's doing stuff.
Yeah.
And they also have an idea of what kind of stuff it might be now. Whereas before it just was off radar. Then it's like, okay, it's shown up. So, and now I'm running a new thing, I'm running the Spiral Experience, and that's doing its own journey. And what I'm finding is some people have been touched by the book. So as this new thing comes around, it's kind of making a second connection, making a third connection. So really, I think having some level of strategy or self-knowledge of, okay, well, I'm a money guy. I really want to position myself. Where do I want to sit in the money space? I'm the money not wasting guy. How about a book called Not Wasting Your Money? That would be good, you know? And just having an accuracy of and a clarity of not making your, you know, the conscious hustle from that position is very vague. It doesn't tell you what it is. I have no product called the conscious hustle. It's just out on its own. Whereas Clear Your Shit plugs into.
But that was kind of a different purpose.
It was a different purpose, and what I learned from that, if I'm going to write these kind of books, you know, like I probably will write a memoir at some point, you know, which is nothing to do with marketing anything.
And that'll probably be more for the purpose, similar to in the sense of clarifying thought.
I'm 45 years
opening
old.
Up a new direction.
I want to drop my life story at this stage.
Yeah.
You know, and that won't be like, oh, Dane Thomas is selling a product called Dane. It's like, it's just, it's purely
Exhibit A.
Yeah. It's like you can
Highest bids.
You can buy this
Now.
But these kind of books, which I perceive I'm going to probably do a lot of, are to position a specific thing, so a specific program or a specific method or a specific something, and you know, I think having those things all match up, you know, the name of the book matches a program, matches a thing, on some level, to me there's
a consistency
it's
there.
much smarter than just making up some random idea that isn't anything that you're known for. You know, assuming this is a business move, which I am assuming for what I see of your base, a lot of people, it's a positioning move.
Yeah.
And putting heart and soul into it happens as well.
Yeah.
But being clear, well, I'm, you know, a such and such business coach. My specialty is XYZ.
And that's how I see it. That's how I see it. Like, we really want the guys that are going to put their heart and soul. They're going to put all their magic juju. It's a unique expression of them. It's not cookie cutter. It's maybe something that they've created themselves, or insights they've discovered through a personal journey. Crossing over with, there are clear business benefits to this. It will grow your business. It will increase your authority. You will generate new opportunities.
People are going to want to talk to you about that subject, you know. So if it's like, if it's something is not really what you're about, it's silly to spend that time and energy. So I think which is what you're really good at in the initial stage, is getting clear on what's your message. Yeah. And what do you want to sell after that message, you know?
I feel like I've got a very finely tuned ear for, you know, is it unique enough? Is it uniquely you, or is it just like a pretty standard life coachy straight out of school? What you focus on is what you get. Yeah. Like that's on a million blogs. Like, come on, let's dress it up. Are you a kung fu master who learnt what you focus on, what you get, while you were meditating in a Buddhist cave with tigers at the front door, and you focused on the freedom beyond the like, that's unique. That's the type of story.
Yeah, totally.
So that's awesome, man. We'll move to wrap up now. So if you could share just 3 little tidbits of action steps that. If someone at home wants to write their book, whether they want to do it with us or on their own, just 3 bullet point things, what would you suggest they do or focus on, or what would you suggest?
Well, I think it's, you know, these are kind of direct from what I've picked up from you, really, but one is shoot for one clean idea. It's about this. Yeah. Not, wow, it's this.
Here it is.
This. It's like, this is what it's about.
You're going to put it up on a sign. Yeah. Here it is.
I think that really lasers in, and to be able to go, this book is about blah, blah, blah. That just really makes it easy to write. So, awesome. And then from there, coming down into what are the components of that?
Yeah, like what are the pieces? Yeah. If that's the idea, what do you need to teach them?
And so, you know, for Clear Your Shit, it was like, well, what if they never meet me? What's everything they're going to need to be able to do this thing? Yeah.
And they're all the pieces.
They're all in there. You could learn nothing else other than the book and the video supports. But even if you didn't get the videos, people have learnt literally physical muscle testing from the book.
Well, people took themselves through your process, but like, they did your whole thing just off the book,
and it worked. And I was like, whoa, that was a stretch. That's like for the
impact.
Yeah, for the extreme appliers, they might want to do that, but probably no one would want to do that. And then go like, whoa, you did it? Yeah. And you just followed the instructions. Yeah. So breaking down of everything that has to be in there, and then it's marking out the time. It's committing. I think for me, committing to, you know, this third one, I have the confidence in the process. So I've just done, I'm midway through a 4-month research experiment that is gathering me all my content and ideas for the book I'm about to write. But I don't go, I might have a book. I'm like, okay, in January, The Integrated Man will be out. You can buy it. Stay tuned. And so I'm pre-seeding that idea and that project for next year with the full knowledge that there's
The buzz is already
yeah,
going.
my deposit is down.
Yeah.
Am I in that course? My calendar's marked out.
Yeah.
I'm gathering all my information and experiencing all the things I need to flesh that out. So I have 100% certainty.
There's
that,
a lot of certainty.
Yeah, that book's happening.
Yeah.
Whereas the first one was like, oh, will it even happen? Second one's like, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Third one's like, okay, it's gonna happen, and I've had a year ahead to decide it's gonna happen at this point.
Yeah.
And I probably would like to drop a book every year. So there's clarity and space in my calendar for both the writing, or the researching, the writing, and then the promoting. There's a space for those things.
Awesome. So just to recap what I'm receiving from you for the people watching this, the 3 takeaways are: 1, get really clear on what your big message is, what your big idea.
Yeah.
Second one, what are the pieces
Yeah.
that you need to transmit to people if you're going to teach them that idea?
Yeah.
And thirdly, to mark out the space in your calendar to get the thing done.
Yeah.
To and to market it and to have a build up.
Yeah. And if you're going to do a retreat, it's like book in. Be like,
Yeah.
you know, I would want to. I'll probably keep doing these with you, and it's like, well, I'll book in advance because I want to know. Well, look, I don't have space to do a cool launch until January, so
Yep.
doing this in the middle of this year is not a good idea. I want to do it at the end of the year so I can start January with such, and
Yeah.
I have a retreat coming out roughly around that time, so it's
So you're already thinking about the thing that you're going to sell
yeah,
based off the book.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for coming in. Guys, I hope you found this valuable. Dane shared all the magic juju around and his ideas about how to write a book. If you do want any help writing your book, we do have the Inspirational Book Writers Retreat program. If you want to find out more, if you want to have a chat with me, look, whether you come with us or not, I'm really not fussed. But my big thing is I just want to see people get their fucking books, get the truth and their books out into the world. So if you do want to have a chat, just go to our website, www.inspirationalbookwritersretreat.com.au, and be happy to help you out, have a chat. Dane Thomas, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.